Welcome back, everybody, to the last week of the Good Life series, where these past couple of weeks we have been in the book of Proverbs, learning little bits of wisdom to take along with us as we navigate the uncharted territories of life. And so last week we learned from Bailey why patience is so important to bring along with us as we navigate life together, especially when we have constantly been with the same people day in and day out. This is going on more than a month now, I want to say. I don't even know what day of quarantine it is. I'm losing track of my days. I don't even know what day of the week it is, but you get what I'm saying. Now, I don't know about you, but lately I've been having a hard time with my patience and even with having good communication with my family and with Josh. And the worst part is that they are my absolute favorite people. I love my mom, and don't tell him this, but I guess I love Josh too. I mean, I am marrying him, but that's besides the fact. But I still, because I am around them all the time now, a lot more than normal, sometimes I let my frustration get the best of me and say things that I don't mean. I know that for me, when things get heated or uncomfortable in conversations and there's a difference in opinions, I often say things that come across as hurtful, and even though it wasn't my intention. And normally I was only trying to be honest and communicate, but sometimes my honesty is a little bit too honest and it's not actually paying attention to the feelings of the other people. And my poorly timed or said words often leads to hurt feelings or awkward tension in my relationships. And that, my friends, is not a win. And so sometimes when I get to the other side of conflicts, I wish that I had just said things differently, because I may have said some things that I really did not mean, and I just wish I could take them back. And maybe you could relate to that too. And I think everyone handles conflict a little bit differently. So some people can yell, some people get quiet, or some people get defensive and blame others. But no matter what you do in a conflict, words almost always take the center stage here. So what I mean by that is that in a conflict, it's almost always words that are the most meaningful in that conflict. And so the truth is, a lot of us don't understand the powers that our words actually have. And a lot of the time, I don't realize what I can say can be rude until sometimes people point it out to me. And I don't even realize it until someone actually has to say something to me to let me know that my words were rude. I am that oblivious sometimes. But words truly have the power in your relationships with friends, maybe with family, with teachers, and even strangers. I doubt any of us are trying to be mean, but the way we say things can rub people the wrong way and create tension, and even in our closest relationships. And maybe some of us have lost friends over the words that we've said to them or even texted. I know that I've gotten in a lot of conversations in high school over text to where I have come out the other side losing a friend, and that's not been fun. Or maybe some of you have gotten in big arguments with your parents or your caregiver, and that's because of the words that maybe they've used or even you've used, causing tension between the two of you. What we say and how we say it often carries more power than we realize, and unfortunately, sometimes our relationship suffers because of our words. And so what do? I mean, we have to communicate with our words. We can't just live under a cave and never talk again to anybody else in our entire lives by ourselves, just live by ourselves. But if we want our relationships to grow and not be hindered by our words, how should we communicate? How can we communicate in a way that creates stronger friendships and healthier relationships while also making a way for honesty too? Now, we've been looking in the book of Proverbs these past couple of weeks, which includes a bunch of short sayings that help us make better choices together. And I learned the other week that Proverbs was actually written as a guide for the younger generation. So I couldn't think of a better book to be getting wisdom from than this one. And so tonight we're going to be in chapter 15, and we're actually just going to be in verse 1. So it says, "A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. So let me say that again because we can't see it on the screen. A gentle answer turns away wrath, but a harsh word stirs up anger. And so, like many verses in Proverbs, this one is communicating two different choices. And in this case, it's the choice we have when it comes to how we use our words. So let's start with the second half of the verse, or the second choice that we have here in Proverbs. So it says, a harsh word stirs up anger. Harsh words. What are harsh words? I think of them as unpleasant words that are usually spoken with an angry or maybe even a sarcastic tone, usually with the intention of shutting down the conversation or getting in the last word. So kind of winning the conversation, you being the one that puts down the last word and that you get in the last word and that you are the one in control. And if you've recently been in trouble or in an argument or a disagreement, you probably know what I mean a little bit. So when we respond harshly, the conflict only gets more intense. And so that's because our words can create a reaction. And now I want you guys to think about our words as tools. It's like we're using a sledgehammer. So I was going to grab a sledgehammer, but I couldn't actually find one. So just imagine a really big, heavy hammer that has this big round mallet at the end of that is really hard to pick up and slam down. Imagine that you're using a sledgehammer to cut a watermelon. That doesn't really make sense, right? So it's like we're using a sledgehammer to cut a watermelon when we respond harshly to other people. It just creates a big mess and it's very hard to eat. Using a sledgehammer with our words can be explosive and cause some destruction. And it's not easy for the other person to take well, and it's a lot harder to clean up afterwards. I mean, could you imagine trying to clean up after you just hit a watermelon with a sledgehammer? I mean, I should show a video or something of it. It's kind of actually funny. Now let's look back to the first part of the verse. So the first part of the verse says, a gentle answer turns away wrath. The word wrath is defined as extreme anger. So someone is really upset, really hurt, and really angry. In other words, the situation is very heated. And in those arguments, gentle answers can bring the temperature back down from where people are being very heated and very elevated. Gentle words can turn the conversation back down, turn the temperature back down. And so going back to the watermelon example and us thinking of our words like tools, we can choose to take an uncontrollable, heavy tool and cause damage and create a mess like a sledgehammer. Or we could do what Proverbs suggested. We can choose a different tool like a knife. Now I was going to grab a knife and show you guys what a knife looks like, but I also was really afraid that I'd accidentally cut myself or do something stupid in my car while I was just swinging around a knife talking with my hands, so I thought it wasn't a good idea. But imagine when you use a knife to cut a watermelon. Now, when I use a knife, I have to use a lot of care with it. I can't just swing it around wildly like a sledgehammer, like I would with a knife in here right now. No, I have to pay attention and be really intentional while I'm using the knife. My movements are controlled, predictable, and it creates a calm, precise result that is a lot easier to eat. Now imagine the difference between using a sledgehammer to cut up a watermelon, so using your harsh words in a conversation like a sledgehammer, or using your gentle words like a knife to cut up in a watermelon. Watermelon with a knife is a lot easier to eat, it's a lot easier to clean up, and it's just a lot better all around using a gentle word or a knife to cut up a watermelon. Now, while reading this verse, I was thinking a lot about people that we may think deserve a harsh word, because I know sometimes I get caught up in that. It's those that have hurt us with what they have said in the past. And I feel like sometimes we just want to stir up the anger. We just want to fuel the fire with anger, and we want to hurt the other person who hurt us because that puts us back in control again. We want the control. But the truth is, it only feels like we're in control. When we choose to respond with anger, we're really giving the other person control. We're allowing what they said to us control how we respond to them. So by responding with anger, we're allowing what they say to us to control how we respond to them. Now, harsh words may feel like they can help you gain power in that moment, but there's actually more power in a gentle response. A gentle word changes the situation, and it helps you become one who influences the remainder of the conversation and the future of the relationship that you have with the person that you're in conflict with. Now, choosing a gentle response keeps the relationship alive. Guys, it all comes down to two choices. You can respond with gentle words, or you can respond with harsh words. And let me tell you, if you want the good life, you've got to choose gentle words here. If you want the best relationship with others, one of the best things that you can do is to choose your words wisely. And if you have to choose the knife and not the sledgehammer, sorry, let me say that again. I said that weirdly. You have to choose the knife instead of the sledgehammer. You have to choose the one that's calculated and calm and cools down the temperature of the conversation to make way for a better relationship and healthier relationship with the other person. Now, that sounds great and all, but how do we actually do that? How do we actually pick up the knife and use a knife to cut the watermelon? Now, in the middle of an argument, or right after someone says an awful word, how are we supposed to choose gentle words? And now I know for me personally, it's a lot easier said than done. But if we want to live the good life, if we want to live the life that God wants for us, I think we have to start trying to change the way we use our words. So I'm going to give you 4 helpful ideas that can guide us to use more gentle words and to guide us in how we use our words. So 1, hit pause. What I mean by that is sometimes when you get hurt or angry, the best thing that you can do is nothing at all. In the moment, try not to do anything. Pause for a few moments, maybe even minutes or hours or a day if you need that. And you might even need to walk away, but sometimes getting away or taking a deep breath can help you think more clearly as you decide how you respond. Now, I know that I like to be right in arguments, and I get very caught up in trying to be right. But when I take a moment to step back, walk away, have a minute or two to calm down about me wanting to be right, it helps me choose how I'll better respond. So I could choose to respond in a much healthier way than what I would have when I was all angry and hyped up. Now, number 2, say I think and I feel phrases. Using I statements instead of you statements helps us take responsibility for what we are thinking and feeling instead of putting the blame on the other person. And so responding with, when you get mad at me when I forget to do chores, I feel hurt and overwhelmed. Instead of, you never appreciate anything that I do. It opens the door for a calm and honest conversation when you say the first phrase instead of the second phrase. 3, name what's bothering you. What's the emotion you feel? Do you feel hurt, disappointed, jealous, embarrassed, insecure? When you name it, you can better communicate it. So one of the best ways to figure out how to name what you're feeling is to talk to somebody that you trust that can be wise about the situation. So your small group leader might be a great way to be a great sounding board or someone to talk to the next time that you find yourself upset and not sure what you're feeling. And 4, stop the back and forth. So what I mean by that is when you find yourself trading harsh words back and forth between someone, just stop. Make the choice to end the cycle. Be the person who changes the way things like conflict look in your relationships now. So I'll say those 4 tips again. Hit pause. So take a deep breath or take a moment to walk away and calm yourself before choosing what you say next. 2, say I think and I feel phrases instead of you phrases. 3, name what's bothering you. Name what you're feeling and thinking so you could better communicate it to the other person. And 4, stop the back and forth. Be the one that ends the cycle of sending harsh words back and forth between the other person, okay? Now remember, if you want the good life, you've got to choose gentle words. Now choose to be the one who brings the temperature of the situation down by responding the right way. I know that these aren't easy steps to take, and it's not something that will happen overnight, but imagine what our relationships would look like if we worked toward responding with gentleness instead of with harsh words. Conflicts and arguments aren't going to disappear out of our lives, but the sooner that we can learn to have healthier responses, the better off our relationships will be. Now let me pray for us. God, I first off thank you for the ability to communicate with a person and the ability to take a pause and choose what we say wisely, because I love the people that I'm in relationship with. I love my family. I love Josh. I love the people that I'm with right now, but sometimes, even especially in this situation and in the time that we're in, I tend to say harsh words, and I'm just glad for the fact that you give us this wisdom to be able to choose gentle words. I ask that you help us take a pause when we need it to calm down. I ask that you help us to say I think and I feel phrases and to stop the cycle of harsh words when those come. God, I just ask that you help us just get through this next couple of weeks and these next couple of months and maybe even this next year or two, because it's hard, and I know that I am struggling at some points, and I know that these students and these small group leaders are too, but I know that you are wise and you are good and that you will help us through these situations. In your name I pray, amen. Okay guys, don't forget that this week we still have our weekly online social media things, however, whatever schedule thing you want to say. We have the Monday challenges. Don't forget to look on Instagram and participate in that, because your small groups might get some prizes. And we have things like Worship Wednesdays. Our students are taking over our Instagram on Tuesdays, so make sure you follow our Instagram if you haven't already. And this next Thursday, we didn't do it this Thursday because we were at Orange Conference, but this next Thursday, we're going to do another game night. So invite your family to it if they want to, and there might be some more prizes. I don't know if it's going to be pizza, maybe it's Uber Eats, maybe it's something else, but there will be prizes. So it was really fun. I hope to see you guys again, and I hope you guys have a great small group all together. So make sure you connect with your small groups after this to have some time together. All right, bye guys.